Hi, welcome to the Garden Wise Guys. I'm Owen Dell.
And I'm Billy Goodnick. And welcome to tonight's spectacular, totally groovy, over-the-top, hour-long extravaganza.
Right. Good. Hey, you know, we've been doing this show for 4 years, and we realized we've actually never given you the big picture of sustainable landscaping.
That's right.
So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to break this up into 3 parts. Billy?
Right. Well, the first thing is design. How do you create a sustainable landscape? There's a lot to think about there. Then there's the construction, putting it all in the ground, and then there's maintaining it.
Yeah.
It's all pretty important.
So we're going to have some fun. We're also going to have some visits from old friends from the show. It's really going to be good.
Yeah, the big thing is we're going to watch clips from, 11 shows that we've done so far?
Shows,
Amazing.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get rolling on the clips. Ready? This is my fun part. Curtain!
Billy,
Yeah.
remember the union thing? We can't do that.
Oh, the union had... Christy, could you, come up with some sort of, animation, something?
Think of a sustainable landscape as a natural system that doesn't need much help from humans. We try to use resources efficiently and to tread lightly. It's just that simple.
Owen's right. It really is that simple to create a sustainable landscape. You know, people wonder how it was that we got started in sustainability. We're, kind of seen as experts, but Owen has a really fascinating story, don't you? It goes all the way back to your childhood.
That's right, Billy. We were very poor, as you know,
Right.
And we were fleeing the Huns in our Model T, coming across the country, looking for a better life in California. And we camped along the way. We had a kind of canvas pup tent, and the whole family stuffed ourselves into it. I have to say, I don't mind telling you, it was difficult. All I had to play with was a chair. But it was a great chair, and in fact, that chair is still with me today and was actually the basis of my entire career. It's now my design chair.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have a look.
Well, we used it in that show.
In the show. Let's have a look at
Okay.
that.
You know, one of the best design tools is very simple. It's a chair. You can use it to sit down, relax, get comfortable, and move around different locations in the garden and really get to know the place that you're working with.
The chair is really great because what it does, it slows you down. You get to sit in places maybe you never sat in your yard. Notice everything that's happening around you, the wind movement, the views, the way the sun moves, and you really get to know your site. I call it making friends with the site, and it really, really works. And then there's another step, Billy.
Well, yeah, it helps in the design process to actually have a piece of paper to work on. So you're going to measure your lot, make sure you've got something close to accurate. You're going to do a site analysis, get some idea of what it is that you have to work with, and put it all together.
The oaks need a little room.
Yeah, this stuff can go. Hey, that's what we're here for. Great view of the mission, but we can't lose that. It's really important to take the time to measure the house, measure the general dimensions of the lot, and put some of that stuff on paper on a scale drawing.
And don't make it too complicated because you only need the basics, the house, fence lines, existing plants, and so forth. It doesn't have to be real involved.
Around, hit the corner, over the bush. Here we go. Okay, let's work our way around the back. What for Daniel?
It's 4'8"
4'8"
to the window edge.
To the window we got.
And we come down 6 foot.
Once you've gotten all your measurements, draw a map of the property with the house and all the features on it.
4 foot 2 to the next window, 3 foot 0 to the next window, 8 foot 2, 3 or 4, and then we got 17 to the thing, and we come to the corner of the front door. We got the front door as a 6'0" front door, 6'8" front door with 2 side lights.
Okay, we got
That's
it wrapped up.
fantastic.
Once you have a map of your site, make a copy of it and start putting down some of the important information you got from the site analysis. Where are the good views? Where are the problem spots in the garden? All that information will help you move into the design phase.
A lot of grass out there. Fences need a little bit of work. They're not all that attractive. And we got that nice shady spot back there in the corner.
I really like that a lot. That's
I think
pretty
for
good.
now this is enough to get us started. We got to get.
So you've got your site analysis, and the next step is deciding what to keep and what to get rid of. And sometimes that's not so easy to do. It's easy to know what to keep. Sometimes you have a beautiful tree or a gorgeous patio or something, but there are times when you got to take stuff out, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes that patio is either in a place where you don't use it frequently, it's too small, I don't know, it gets too hot, or it's cracked. It's hard to put a level table there without, dumping lemonade all over yourself, right? So what are the opportunities of leaving the stuff there? What are the opportunities of taking it out and moving forward? But one of the most emotional things people have is the removal of plants. They feel every, living thing should be protected, but sometimes there's opportunities there too, and you just bite the bullet.
Or the shrub, as we saw.
Bite the shrub.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Could you look? I think I got a thorn or something up there.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Look.
oh, sorry.
We're on. Okay. You know, people are really eager to start picking out plants and putting them in the garden, but it's a little premature. If the plants are going to work in your garden, it makes sense to match them to the kind of soil that you have.
Right, exactly. And you know, the first thing to keep in mind is there are basically 3 types of soil. There's clay soils, sandy soils, and the ideal is a loam soil.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the ideal is this, and this is a loam, and a loam is composed of sand, silt, and clay. It holds together better. It holds nutrients pretty nicely. Yeah, the tennis
Okay,
ball,
so what's
that would be like the silt, I
silt?
would say. Oh, there's a good clay particle.
Now, if only we had like a basketball or something big to represent the sand.
That would be
What do we
really
have?
great.
Incoming.
Oh, hey,
Basketball.
That's pretty good.
Perfect. Really big concept in sustainable planting is right plant, right place. And I think it was our very first episode, all those years ago, we talked about it.
Yeah, and you know, I want to just say math was never my best subject, and I've gotten a lot better at counting with my fingers.
Oh, it's great.
But you'll see.
Concept number 1.
Size and spacing. Is there enough room for the height of the plant and the diameter of the plant to fit in the space you want to put it without ever having to prune it?
Concept number 2.
Sun and shade. These succulents just love a little bit of sunshine, whereas this mondo grass over here is much happier in a little bit of shade. Find the right spot for each plant.
Concept number 3.
Soil type. Some plants love a nice, fast-draining sandy soil. Others get along just fine in our heavy clay soils. Pick the right plant for the right soil.
Concept number 4.
Water requirements are what the zany landscape types like to call hydrozones. We have lawn that gets frequent, shallow irrigation. We have large shrubs that require infrequent, really deep irrigation.
If you follow these 4 principles, you're going to end up with a landscape that requires minimal care.
That's right. You know, one of the misconceptions about sustainable landscaping is that it's about sacrifice, giving things up. One of the things people are really concerned with is beauty. Really, a sustainable landscape lends itself to any style of landscaping. You can create a cottage garden and do it sustainably.
Japanese garden.
Yeah, Mediterranean.
Croatian, whatever you want.
You know, a lot of the neighborhoods we live in were designed and built at a time when people didn't give a lot of thought to resources, and, you know, there were lawns. Oh, sensitive subject.
I hate that word.
Yeah.
The lawns. Lawns are so bad. They use water and fertilizer, and they have to be mowed with these fossil fuel sucking machines with the noise. And the pesticides, I mean, lawns are awful.
These days, people are starting to reconsider whether they should just downsize their lawn or, in some cases, just eliminate them completely.
You know, for some landscapes, this is really all the lawn you need, a little postage stamp. It provides some recreational space. You could even throw a little picnic here, play with the dog, wrestle with the kids. Doesn't take a lot of water, doesn't take a lot of fertilizer if you're using any, and it doesn't take a long time to mow, although, you know, I hear the mowing crews coming. I better get out of here. This could get dangerous.
Well, this is a mini meadow. It's a substitute for a traditional mowed lawn. And the plant that we're using here is a native sedge called Carex panza. And it'll look pretty much like lawn if you mow it. But there's a couple neat things about it. One is that you don't have to mow it. You can just leave it like this. And you don't need a lawnmower, and you don't need to go through all that. It uses about half the water of a regular conventional lawn and about half the fertilizer. And it looks really neat. The irrigation on this is a sprinkler system, which you actually can't see right now. The heads are buried throughout the area here. And it comes up and sprays overhead just like a regular turf system. It's on an automatic controller, so it doesn't come on at inopportune times and, you know, get people wet. And who would have thought that 2 simple landscape architects would have had their own TV show? That's really incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I never would have imagined it. And, you know, we've also gotten to work with some of the amazing talent.
Oh, like Jack Nicholson. You remember that show we did with Jack? And it was so...
We were going to get him, but there was a Lakers game.
Yeah, the Lakers game.
Yeah, it was a conflict.
Yeah.
But, Steve Martin.
No,
you know,
we had
we
jury
were
duty that day.
But
I know who. The scene with our own local star, Chance
Jordan, one of the stars of stage and screen.
In fact, we have him in the theater.
Yes, I know.
Right this very
Chance,
minute.
come on.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, wait, you're on the wrong row. Got to climb up.
Hey, it's good to see you, my man.
He does his own stunts.
Yeah.
Okay, let's help.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chance, Jordan, you want to
Hey,
wave?
it's good to see you
Kind
again.
of wave. You want to poke Owen in the eyes?
Yeah.
It's kind of our trademark. Tell the people at home what was going through your head as you were preparing for your part in the sprinkler thing. What were you thinking?
Where's my chocolate?
You're just here because we promised to give you some chocolate, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, well, that's cool. You want to introduce what you do on the TV? You want to tell everybody what you do? Remember what you yelled? Okay. A man of few words, one of those, really reserved actors. It's really all internal.
Yeah, but when
Yeah,
he speaks,
it's okay.
people really listen.
It's a good clip.
These innovative new rotating nozzles for pop-up sprinklers are just fabulous. They use 30% less water, they save you money, and they conserve resources.
10 out of 3.
I am the wonderful wizard of water. I know your garden, and I know that your watering practices are very wasteful.
Oh, gee! Goes right over like that.
what?
It sprays.
Drip tubing, which also makes a handy speaking tube. Sorry, Billy.
Go! You okay? Okay. A little more time at the gym, you'll be fine. What Owen's trying to say while he's catching his breath is a low water using landscape isn't a no water using landscape. You've got to use some water, get the garden established, get it off to a good start. In fact, our show is brought to you by the 3 local water agencies, the Goleta Water District, the Santa Barbara County Water Agency, and also the City of Santa Barbara Water Resources Group.
Yeah, and actually the bottom line on irrigation is if you get your irrigation right, you're well on your way to a sustainable landscape.
That's true. Now, one of the things people have trouble with is figuring out which of the technologies is right for their garden, and they all do different things. So one of the things we do in the show is try to clarify for you and explain the wacky world of irrigation.
This is a very interesting bed because you've got trees and shrubs and ground cover, and they're all rooting in slightly different areas and depths of the soil. It's kind of hard to irrigate. And it's a good example because in a lot of cases you have choices to make about which way to go. For example, here we could use a conventional spray head just like we looked at over in the lawn area, and we'd be on the edges, it would pop up, spray in, and it would do fine. Or you could do a drip system with conventional emitters, or one of my favorites is inline emitters actually molded into the tubing, spaced every 12 to 24 inches, put in a grid so that it waters like a sprinkler system.
If you hadn't noticed, I'm on this slope here, but this is a good opportunity to talk about irrigation approaches to a slope like this, because what we have here is a place where obviously the water is going to want to keep running downhill. So if you run the sprinklers all at once, you got puddles, you got runoff down on the walkways. Okay, Owen, help!
So the design phase of irrigation is really important to get everything covering accurately without any waste. But there's another element to this. If you don't control the water properly, you're still going to be wasting water.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, remember that cheesy infomercial that we did?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have one of our sidekicks who's on a lot of the shows, Kathy Perret, and she explains a really cool gadget.
This smart controller is more than just a pretty face. It's very different from the traditional controller that you used to have up on your wall. This one actually receives weather data from a satellite every day, and it tells it whether to water more or to water less.
That is pretty smart.
But isn't it hard to program? I mean, it sounds very complicated.
Not at all. It just takes a few simple parameters that you need to put in. The clock needs to know whether your plant is in the shade or if it's in the sun. It needs to know whether it's grass or whether it's bushes. Other than that, piece of cake.
And speaking of cake and other things that people really like, this is the fun part in the design process. We're getting really close to picking out the plants.
Hey, maybe I should tell them about the Saturday morning syndrome.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. This is a pernicious disease of gardeners. And the symptoms are basically that you go to the nursery, you look around, you find a really cute plant or one that's on sale, you bring it home, and you walk around your yard until you get tired or you find a place to put it, and you plop it down. almost anywhere. It makes no sense, and it's absolutely no way to design a sustainable landscape.
No, really, saying where should I put this isn't exactly a design process.
Doesn't work.
No. So before you actually start looking for a place to put it, there's 4 steps. It's a little process that we all use that really assures that the plant is going to be exactly the right one you need.
Well, the first thing that you need to think about is the function of the plant. What is the plant going to do? It's not just there to look pretty. It's actually achieving some purpose in the landscape.
The second thing we need to think about is categorizing the plants according to their height. I usually just think in terms of 3 categories. Plants are either low, about up to your knee, medium, which is about up to your shoulders, or high, over eye level.
All right, the next thing is cultural, what we call cultural conditions. You have to remember the plants are alive, and if they don't get what they want, they're just like us, they're not going to do well. Cultural conditions involve things like soil type, watering, sun or shade.
The last step is really the fun one. This is when you get to be a little bit of an artist. Look at your plants for all of their different colors, their shape, their form. We've got leaf colors that run all the way from white or silver through all shades of green, purple, and black.
Sustainable landscaping is really about function. What do things do in the landscape? For example, you could use your yard to grow food with a food forest or a vegetable garden.
Or even the idea of planting natives. It provides habitat for beneficial insects, for nesting material for birds, that sort of thing. It's all about trying to squeeze all the function that you can out of the landscape that you create. So we're wrapping up the design segment here. It's not a lot of detail. We're just giving you a big picture, so be sure to...
What's going on here? What are you guys doing here?
We're doing this... it's a TV show. We're doing this Garden Wise Guys.
Well, you're not on a list. You're supposed to be on a list.
Can you call Chris? I think we need to call Chris.
Well, it's set up.
Get out of
We've got
here.
a whole crew here.
No, you get out of here.
All right, fine.
Okay, fine.
You too, young lady.
Oh, wait, microphone. Next up, we're going to be talking about implementation, putting a garden in the ground. Okay.
Now get out of here.
Leaving the water running while brushing your teeth wastes 2 gallons of water. For more information on how to conserve water, log on to www.sbwater.org. That's sbwater.org.
Every morning at 8 a.m., Dave's lawn sprinklers turn on. Dave likes knowing that no matter what, his lawn is getting watered. So's the left side of his driveway. Jake Walter's bike. The curb running downhill on Garden Street. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Dave also waters the Browns' dachshund. There's a Dave in every neighborhood. Log on to sbwater.org to learn the best settings for your sprinklers.
Shouldn't that go into recycling?
Recycling. Everybody knows the trash gets sorted.
Fact is, no trash gets sorted, friend. So if it goes in there, it just ends up at a landfill.
There's only one way to settle this. Draw.
Santa Barbara Recycling.
Hi, welcome back. Whether we're supposed to be here or not, we're at the beautiful Granada Theater, just fabulous place.
Well, I've never been kicked out of a nicer joint.
No. You sure this is how Lincoln got started? No. Wasn't good for his career. Anyway, you finished the design portion of the process, and now it's time to get dirty and do a little construction work.
Or you hire somebody to get dirty for you.
Yeah, you can do that
But
too.
we got to build the garden. We can't just design it. You have to build it.
Exactly.
So that's what we're talking about. All kinds of phases to building a garden. There's the demolition, grading, Drainage, what else?
Yeah, well, there's all the construction work, if you're doing fences, patios, that sort of thing, and...
irrigation.
Irrigation. And, calm down, you might have to remove your lawn. Okay, I knew that was going to get that. You don't have to resort to chemicals, right?
Right.
There's some safe, really sustainable ways of doing it.
We're going to take about 5 sheets of this big stuff. You could also use cardboard that you've pulled out of the waste stream or just have around the house. You lay it down in the garden. This is for that really tough job of getting rid of Bermuda grass, really tough weeds and things like that. It takes about 6 months for this to work. You lay the paper or the cardboard down. This is going to break down and recycle. Good stuff. You cover it with...
Mulch.
How much?
Recycled mulch about 3 inches deep.
Now this mulch is
spread it
also
out.
free.
You can get this delivered for just the price of delivery, or you can come down and pick it up for nothing.
Some people call it dirt.
Yeah, but it's only dirt when it gets on your clothes.
Yeah, it's actually soil. And soil is a tremendously complex thing. It's made up of not only air and minerals and water, but also beneficial soil microorganisms like mycorrhizal fungus and earthworms and beneficial bacteria. And you have to treat it with respect.
We had this really fun episode. Episode 3 was Journey to the Center of the Dirt, where we explain all this stuff about soil. You know what's great about all these soil organisms is they're just continually eating up all the organic material.
Oh, it's so busy. Look at it. I mean,
But what they do is they convert it into something that the plants can use. So you want to, as creepy as they are, you want to keep these guys happy.
Mycorrhizal fungi are like a symbiotic plant that grows on the root hairs of a plant. If you imagine these were root hairs, a mycorrhizal fungus will actually attach itself to each root hair and act like an advanced party going out and foraging for moisture and nutrients in the soil. They greatly increase the ability of the plant to take those things up, and they do it for the life of the plant. You can actually buy mycorrhizal inoculum. What they do in terms of benefit for you as a gardener is they reduce your need to water and fertilize because the plant is acting more efficiently.
But you know, there's more than just plants that go into a garden. There's all the patios and fences and all that stuff. It's the thing that we call hardscape, which...
Jargon. Yeah, stay off the jargon.
All right.
And all of those things that we create in the landscape are built with tons and tons of materials that most of the time don't occur in your garden.
Concrete, trees, steel, and all that stuff has to come from somewhere. And where it comes from, there's impacts like strip mining,
Sure.
energy use, transport. And if you're using things and having that kind of an impact, you don't have a sustainable garden.
That's true.
Yeah. But there's a way to improve that.
That's true. If we can pull materials from the waste stream, reuse things that are already here, it's a much more sustainable approach.
Building a yard with trash, basically.
Exactly. Tell us the distinction between recycling and reuse.
Recycling is great. I mean, it saves stuff from going to the landfill, but reuse is definitely better. When you create a product like this, there's a lot of manufacturing energy that went into this product. There's a lot of water use, and there's a lot of energy bringing it to where you're going to buy it. So when you reuse it, you save all that. When you recycle it, you're going to have to grind it up, melt it down, and produce another product, which takes more energy, more water, and produces more pollution. So reuse is definitely more environmentally friendly.
Here's one of the most important resources in the waste stream. It's a simple thing, broken concrete. What do you do with it? You can make retaining walls like this one. You can stain these down. Once they're cleaned up a little bit, it actually looks really good. You also need to consider how much energy goes into moving construction materials from one part of the country to another.
All right. This flagstone, and this doesn't come from around here. This is Arizona flagstone, which means, guess where it comes from? Arizona, which means it had to be taken out of the earth using big power equipment, all the emissions.
And trucking, right? Like driving it here.
Exactly. Then it has to move all this distance. And right here next to it is Santa Barbara sandstone. And I think you all know where that comes from. Okay. So, wherever we can use local materials instead of importing stuff and driving it around and extracting it from the earth, there's less of a carbon footprint.
So after the construction is done and before you get to dig holes and put plants in the ground, the next thing is making sure you've got a good sustainable irrigation system in the ground. We've got some great clips on that.
Oh, good. Black screen. Technical difficulties. Can we have the clip?
Billy?
Yeah.
We don't actually have the clip, remember, because there's nothing that's sustainable about building an irrigation system.
Well, that's true.
So we don't have a clip.
Okay, so back to live. Okay.
Well, that was a little embarrassing.
Hey, why don't we talk about safety? Huh?
Safety.
Yeah, actually getting hurt is not sustainable, right?
That's true. Typical scenario. You got some 4-inch pots of yarrow or whatever. You're getting ready to put them in the ground. Sure enough, you accidentally sever your leg.
That happened to me.
I know, happens all the time. So, you're bleeding there, you call the ambulance, that takes a lot of fuel for them to come.
4 miles to the gallon or
Right,
something. Those
and
things.
the wound dressings.
Terrible. Yeah. They're not even organic or nothing.
No,
They're
it's
just,
yeah.
Oh.
And then you got to hose the area down
Waterways.
afterwards. That's right.
Everything about it.
The point is, work safely and you work sustainably.
Oh, nothing to it.
Look, I'm going with 20. I'm going to hit the button.
Whoa, what's going on?
Whoa! What's going on?
Stuff, there's water.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look out! Let's go! Come on. Lava flame, I'm still having trouble sitting down. That was like quite a while ago. But
A little touchy.
Ooh.
Time to put plants in the ground, but before you put them in the ground, actually you have to select plants that are really going to get off to a good start.
And it's not that easy. A lot of people don't know how to pick a good plant. There's a little bit to it, actually.
Well, it's about the roots, it's about the shape of the plant.
Yeah.
So let's look at this. This is a India hawthorn, and one of the first things we look for is just the overall shape. The plant shouldn't have broken branches. This is in good condition, and it should be pretty uniform in terms of branches coming out from all sides, nothing unusual coming out of it. I would give this, thumbs up, ready for installation.
Most people don't think about what's in the pot, but it's the roots that are going to have to grow into the soil. So here's 3 plants that are on different ends of the spectrum. This Neomarica is kind of small on the top, and sure enough, it's kind of light on the root system too. There aren't any roots in the sides to speak of. You've got a few roots down in the bottom here. It's enough, but it's on the low end of maturity. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got this Dianella, which as you can see is pretty well overgrown in the can. It's got a lot of dead stuff. It's pretty thick. And I don't think you'll be surprised to see, look at this root system. Completely jammed up. You've got little plants trying to grow out through here. It's saying, help, let me out of here. This is probably going to grow, but it's definitely not optimal. And then in the middle, we have this penstemon. It looks great on the top, plenty of nice full growth. And look at the root system. There's a lot of fibrous roots around the outside, but it's not starting to circle yet, which happens very, very often in the cans. And when a plant starts to circle, it's really not a good plant ever because it will continue to circle in the ground. You put this plant in the ground, it's going to take off. So just to recap, just like in the Goldilocks tale, this one's too small, this one's too big, and this one is just right.
True confession, personal moment here. One of the reasons I got into landscape architecture, frankly, all this stuff about hard work being good for you, I didn't really like it. I don't like digging the holes and swinging a pick.
Well, that was before I invented my famous prefabricated planting holes.
That's true. That was brilliant. Yeah.
Should I tell the people? They might want to know about that.
Go ahead.
These are prefabricated planting holes. You buy them in packs of a dozen. They're tapered so they fit together. They're very lightweight. And it's really simple. They come in 1 gallon size, 5 gallon size, 15 gallon size. You dig a hole, you put them in, you plant the plant. There's nothing to it.
That's it. Prefab holes.
Prefab holes.
They're not falling for it.
No?
No.
Huh. So how big should the hole be?
Generally, twice the diameter of the actual plant container. So for these guys, I'd be digging a hole that's about twice the diameter. But in terms of the depth of the hole, you take the exact depth of the soil that's in here, that's as deep as the hole goes. What that does is it prevents the plant from sitting on fluffy soil and gradually settling down after you water it. So we're just going to lightly scratch the soil to release. I'm going to set the plant in the ground. Now I'm just going to add probably about 1/3 of the soil so far around here. And then I'll just take the back of the shovel and gently compact the soil, not so tight that the water's not going to settle in, but enough that it's not going to, that the soil isn't going to settle down completely later. Continue adding some soil, a little bit more compaction, and now I'm going to top it off. So you can see right here, here's the top of the old root ball
Here's the surface of the soil. This is just about perfect. That's the section on construction.
Next up, we're going to talk about sustainable garden maintenance.
That's right.
And
Yes.
hi.
You called Christy, right?
Well,
we're good.
You know what?
We're good.
No, you're not good.
We're good.
You got to get out of
No,
here.
we're good.
You're not on the list.
But
You're not on the list.
What list?
There's no
We'll
list.
straighten
So
it
get
out.
out of here.
Next up, sustainable
Maintenance.
care and maintenance.
Okay.
Hey, I've been thrown out of nicer places.
Fixing a leaky faucet can save 20 gallons a day. Filling your dishwasher can save 25 gallons a day. Shortening your shower to 5 minutes can save 40 gallons a day. Saving water? Priceless.
I pledge.
Pledge to take the 20-gallon challenge. It's easy and simple. Turn your sprinklers on and check for leaks once a month.
I pledge.
Use 3 inches of mulch throughout your garden.
I pledge.
Use online tools to adjust your watering schedule.
I pledge.
Install a rain sensor and it will automatically shut off your sprinklers when it is raining.
I pledge.
Save water now. Take the 20-gallon challenge at svwater.org.
Hey, welcome back. Whether you have a brand new garden or you're living with an existing old garden, you're going to want to care for it in a very sustainable way. This next section talks about the care and feeding of a sustainable landscape.
Yeah, did you know that only 20% of the cost of a landscape is design and construction?
I knew that.
80% is maintenance of that landscape over time. And you know, it's really strange because if you design a garden right, you shouldn't have to do much. It should actually get easier and easier to take care of. For example, did you ever see anybody fertilize the mountains?
No.
No, of course not. Why? Because the mountains take care of themselves. So what's different about your garden? Think about that. So, you know, nature works on cycles. And we thought that we would show you a clip of natural cycles and how it works in the landscape.
Once again, we
don't have a clip.
But
So-
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Been getting a little coaching, a little choreography. I will do an interpretive dance while you narrate.
Okay. You don't need to buy bags of fertilizer for your garden if you operate your garden the way nature does. In nature, rain falls on the soil, it leaches nutrients down into the root zone, it's taken up by the roots of the plants, goes up into the plant begins to push beautiful flowers and leaves, and as the seasons progress, the leaves get bigger, they age, they mature, and eventually they fall to the ground, decompose, and return the nutrients from whence they came, in a beautiful natural cycle. And that's how it works in nature, and that's how it can work in your garden. Let's take a look as Randy Mooney talks about the cycles of nature.
I don't understand people who rake their beds into submission. They're killing their soil. Take my neighbor Vern. Seems like the very sight of a fallen leaf drives him nuts. He's trained his Jack Russell Terrier to intercept the leaves before they hit the ground. It's fun to watch, but I prefer to let them sit there, decompose, and let the nutrients back into the soil. Why do you think they call them leaves? You're supposed to leave them there.
One of the things that makes this garden so easy to live with is mulch. So mulch is an example of stacking functions, which is a permaculture principle. The idea that nothing does just one thing. So the mulch holds the weeds down, keeps the water in, returns nutrients to the soil, provides a nice place to walk, and 10 or 12 other things. It's a fantastic way to make use of all the things that are growing here, cut them up, let them drop, and they go back to the earth.
So the crews are all done planting. We've got everything in place. Everything's been backfilled. The soil mix is back in place. There's just one more thing we have left to do.
I don't know. What would the Garden Wise guys do?
What would the Garden Wise guys do? They'd probably tell you to put mulch on the surface.
With mulch.
You watch the show.
Yeah.
Okay,
hey, look, there's some mulch.
There's some mulch.
Why don't we get that mulch and put it here? Well, this is an interesting one.
Uh-huh.
It looks like there's too much mulch at the base of this trunk.
Well, wait, isn't mulch a good thing?
Well, it's a good thing, but if it's too close to the trunk, it's going to cause the trunk to rot, and you could actually lose the plant.
That's right, because the moisture in the mulch holds against the plant.
So what we want to do is actually pull this mulch back and keep it pulled back for the life of the tree.
Hey, Owen, what do you got there?
Oh, mulch.
Mulch.
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh, this is compost?
Sweet.
Oh, they're not the same thing.
Yeah, no, mulch, this is leaves and stuff, goes on the surface of the soil, and compost gets incorporated in.
That's right. We have a composting expert, Ed France, who's going to explain it all to you.
Billy, this stuff does not belong in the garbage.
No. What are you going to do with it?
This is just waiting to become soil again.
No, wait,
Green waste?
this is green stuff. How does it turn into soil?
Well, you could toss this in the green can if you have one at home, but if you have a garden, the best thing to do is just compost it. So there's actually a way that's a lot more fun to compost.
What's that?
It's with worms.
Oh, I've heard about that.
So like a worm box.
Yeah.
What you get, actually I have some. I was going to spread out in the garden.
Give me a shot.
See these castings?
Oh, this is beautiful. And there's worms in there.
Yeah.
And they're not going to bite? Win-win. What's that, Gertrude? Timmy's falling down the well, and he can't get out. Oh, Owen's falling down the well. I gotta go. I gotta go find Owen. Gertrude, which way do we go? Ah, we'll go this way. Sounds good.
So how come you get the blue, you get all the plumage?
I'm the sexy one.
I guess. Oh, that's fine. You know, when we talk about most of the concepts of sustainable landscaping, people get it. It's common sense. But one of the things that gets folks just a little on edge is the topic of lawns. Owen, okay, breathe.
Don't say lawns. Don't say lawns.
What is the difference between a gas-powered lawnmower and the Exxon Valdez?
I mean, come on. Did you ever try to float a lawnmower? They go right to the bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your time is up. Let's go to the Garden Wise guys in the field with the correct answer.
In fact, the difference between this lawnmower and the Exxon Valdez is not much. Americans spill over 17 million gallons of gasoline every year just refueling power, lawn, and garden equipment. That's more than was spilled by the Exxon Valdez in Alaska.
Not only that, but according to the EPA, Americans use over 800 million gallons of gasoline a year fueling mowers and other power equipment. So what can we do about it? If you absolutely need to keep some lawn for recreational purposes, you can downsize it, mow it with a push mower. Or better yet, remove the lawn completely, grow something edible. That way we're not wasting and we're not spilling gas.
Hey, Billy, I really liked your dance routine.
Thank you.
You know, we ought to have more culture in the show.
Some culture.
Yeah.
I have this really great poem. I think it was by Lord Byron.
Yeah?
I think it's very appropriate. Ladybug, ladybug, fly away home.
Billy, speaking of ladybugs, let's go to this clip.
You ready for your freedom? Here we go. This should be exciting.
Hey, Vern, what you doing?
I'm trying to kill these aphids in this citrus tree.
You know, Vern, there's a better way to do this. You want to tell me about it, Billy?
Well, you know, there's the whole IPM approach. IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management. The idea is that you start slow and you work your way up.
You got an aphid problem, right? You know, one of the first things you can do is just simply ignore the problem, and quite possibly a predator will come in and eat the aphids, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. If that doesn't work, you can take a hose, give them a good bath, knock them off the plant, and a lot of times that will put an end to the infestation.
You seem to get all those really great scenes, like that one with you and the hot chicks there in the barnyard.
Hey.
Yeah. Does Gertrude know?
That was strictly business, okay?
Right. Yeah.
I was just trying to tell people how to kill slugs and snails without using chemicals. That's all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about slugs and snails. Pretty much everybody has a problem with them. Part of that is because people plant things like agapanthus and other juicy plants that they really like to go into and hide out in. And then the old standby, beer. What you do with beer is simple. You find an opener that works. There we go. You take a pie pan, a saucer, you bury it so that it's flush with the ground. And you pour a little beer in. By the way, you might wonder why we're in a chicken coop. Well, these girls can take care of the snail and slug problem too. They love to eat them, and if you let them out in their yard, they'll clean the place up in a hurry. Right, girls? No beer. You're under 21. Okay, you put the pie pan down. The snails crawl into the pie pan, drink the beer, can I say this on TV? Get drunk?
Yeah.
They get drunk. Get drunk. I mean, let's be realistic. And they go out and they roll over and smash their shells and they die.
They basically just drown themselves.
Pretty much.
Okay, that makes some sense. You know, one of the great guests who's been on our show a number of times is Elizabeth Fowler. She's she plays the part of Gertrude. She's been in a lot of our shows.
Incredible.
And
Gertrude.
yeah, she's here with us today. You've been in a lot of our episodes. How do you get into the different characters? I know you've got some great acting training.
Hours to deliver plans, or else Gertrude gets cooked. Gertrude?
Our rubber chicken?
Gertrude? Where? Gertrude! She's gone. Go. Gertrude!
Oh, sweetie.
You okay, Gertrude?
You know, if you followed all the ideas of right plant, right place, you shouldn't have to prune to control size. Doesn't mean you can throw away your pruners either. You might have to remove dead flowers or just correct some minor defects.
With a shrubby plant like this, or some other flowering plants, what we're doing is deadheading. Has nothing to do with Jerry Garcia. We use pruners, again, not hedge trimmers. And the idea here is just to remove the part of the plant that has the spent flower, the part that doesn't look good anymore. And we're just going to cut just under the outline of the plant so that the new growth will come out and fill in the outline of the plant.
There are two basic things that I'm going to do. One is I'm going to take away some of the dead material, like this old growth here, and I'm going to cut right down to the parent branch. The second thing I'm going to do is if I find any crossing branches where one branch grows over another, I'm going to cut one out so that they don't rub and open up basically a wound in the plant that's susceptible to pathogens. You need to be patient with your garden. Gardens don't fill in overnight, and there's always this temptation to plant too much stuff, and then you have trouble later on.
Oh, Phil.
Gardeners,
I've about had it with you too. Come with me. Come with me.
Let's roll a clip while we find another location.
be patient with your new plantings because everything's going to grow in its own time and in its own way. For example, these plants are in full sun. They're doing great. Over in the shade, they're going to grow a little more slowly. That's perfectly normal. It's not a problem. So don't get impatient with it, pull them out or something, or try to fertilize them more. They're just going to do what they're going to do, and it's all right.
Is he here? I don't know. I think he's gone. Okay.
I think we're okay. Hey,
we got Kathy Perret. We got she's like our irrigation specialist.
Kathy Perret.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Got the signature Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
So we were wondering, it would help to explain to people what it is that you go out when you do a water inspection at people's homes.
Water, what do you call it? An audit? You don't call it an audit.
No, not an audit. It's a water checkup.
Great.
It's a checkup. When someone calls, they might have a really high water bill. They might just have seen your show. They want to get more efficient, figure out how to be sustainable. We go out. We check inside, we check outside, we look for leaks.
So it's not just about the landscape.
Oh no, there's water everywhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully not on the floor.
Oh no, not on the sidewalk, not on the floor.
Right.
That's key.
So you're saving water and you're saving money.
Yes.
Cool. So now that you were checking the restrooms in the grand dressing room here at the Granada, is everything okay?
Everything's great here. This is a brand new building. Right. There's nothing. I can't ever pull myself away though. Anywhere I go to a hotel, I gotta check the toilets, make sure their showers are, 2 gallons or less, no
Always
leaks.
on the job, huh?
Oh yeah, stop.
Hey, we got something really special coming up. It's a montage of some of Kathy's greatest moments.
Yeah.
Kathy, can you tell us what you're doing here today?
I'm doing an irrigation evaluation.
Okay, is that something you do here all the time, or?
Oh, we do it at the beginning of every irrigation season and at least once a month throughout the season to make sure all the sprinklers are working and we don't have any leaks.
All right, now we're looking at a drip system. The kids play here, the dogs play here, and obviously some emitters have been knocked off and we want to mark these with flags so we know where to go to come back and fix them.
So if you've got a sprinkler that's always been throwing 15 feet and you don't match it with the 15 feet, that's where the brown spots come in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So be sure, when you're switching your sprinklers, you better match it.
So much for the beautiful Granada Theater. Hey, we want to thank you for watching and just remind you, sustainable landscaping is broken down into 3 important sections.
Yeah, well, first you have to design it right.
And then you want to construct it using the best materials as intelligently as you can.
And maintain it sensibly and organically.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, if this has made you want to watch the show, tune in to Channel 18 on Sunday nights or Channel 20 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night.
You can also find us on the web at sbwater.org.
Exactly. Or you can write to Allison Jordan and get a 3-disc box set of the show. Just want to thank you for watching, and
yeah, it's been great.
Hey,
thanks.
Didn't I tell you guys to get out of here?
Okay.
Enough of this already.
It's a sustainable landscape.
Hello.
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 It's been a pleasure. Thanks for your help. Oh, good. Okay, we got mouthwash, we got foot powder, got some horseradish, some stomach stuff. Bingo. Okay, we're making soup.
I gotta find this house somewhere. I gotta find Billy. Hello? Miss Winnipeg, Miss Bill. Oh, there you are. Hey. What's that?
Hi, I'm not Alex Trebek, and welcome to The Greenest Loser. I'm gonna make a phone call to my agent. I'm out of here. See ya. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Alex.
I'm not Alex.
Owen and Billy are now on a highway that leads straight into the heart of the sustainability zone.
Where?
This isn't working, Owen.
You numbskull, that's what the soil probe is for.
Easy on the back.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, man, that's wet.
Take this soil probe and Yandy's soil probe.
And I like to share it with the crew.
Me, I like to keep a balance in my garden.
So as the sun sets on this proud land and these happy people, we bid you a sustainable farewell.
The next step is to make some
Doogie houses. Big steaming piles.
Sorry.
Energy! Boing, boing, boing. Energy.
Here we go. We're rolling. I can't remember what I'm supposed to say.
That's because I'm first. So please sit still.
Hey, whatever you do, don't smile, all right? And do not smile or laugh.